Eric Smith from Smith and Howell Design Company. Thank you so much for joining me today on What's Up, Chuck. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I was trying to have you on as my very, very first guest, but unfortunately our schedules didn't line up. But hey, better late than never, right?
I appreciate it, Chuck. This is awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for the invite. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us. And I also need to mention that you showed up in person at my office today, and I have no idea how to record these sessions live, nor am I set up or have a studio or anything like that. So I use this Riverside platform, which operates a lot like Zoom, and I do have an offsite administrator who helps me kind of process these. I'm good at getting people and recording, but that's about where my expertise ends.
In classic me, you sent me very good detailed invitation and I didn't read any of it. It's-
It's all good. It's all good. So we were just catching up for a minute, and our friendship and working relationship goes back close to 20 years, which
It
is
does.
remarkable. And you've been nothing but a tremendous friend. And I want to first of all thank you for being a friend. And you've trusted us with some real estate matters that unfortunately have not panned out. But as the world goes, and by the grace of God, everything works out the way it's supposed to. And the real estate that you had
Absolutely.
hired. The real estate you hired us to sell, you still own, and as it turns out, that's a good thing.
Way better that it worked out. And in all honesty, the entire time you were trying to sell it, you were telling us to keep it. And so your advice was the right advice. And I have found that to always be true. I don't know anyone that's more honest, direct, transparent. And thus we became very good friends very quickly, engaging in that way into each other over and over again through the Westchester Borough relative to the things that we're committed to. You hired us to help you do a project with your business, and we also helped you navigate through that, and then navigate to other options as well as your business has evolved and changed. You've always been able to be honest with us, and I think that that's our goal too. Is my goal to
Sure,
kind of be
sure.
very direct and honest. You know.
I I appreciate that. So Smith and Howell, what's kind of the evolution of Smith and Howell, and where did you come from? What do you guys do in a nutshell? And I have hired you on my own, and very, very good work out of your firm.
Well, the Smith and Howell is a culmination of the relationship with Denny Howe from Howe Engineering, Environmental, and Surveying. It has now grown into a number of other businesses that he's tied to as well. We did work for their company, helping them evaluate their current standing in the industry, make some adjustment in naming, and created a true new branding platform for them, which include web and environmental graphics. And we're in the midst of helping design a new space for them as well. So Smith and Howell, Smithworks was our original company that was founded back in 2000 here in Westchester in the borough. And Smithworks existed for 25 years until we became Smith and Howell. And it's been fantastic for us, this evolution and uh, the energy that the Howell brings to us, which is really exciting. So big picture, we do lots of videography based things. We're really a branding company. That's who we are. We operate as designers for specific tasks. A customer may walk through the door with a need for a logo or website or environmental graphics, packaging, and then we need to best aid them. We need to understand where their brand's coming from and how they're competing within the market they're competing in. And so we have a branding process we can go through that helps us do that. And that's really, we've evolved over the years, but at the core, we still do project work for people. Probably 75% of our customers are kind of people that we repeat work over, and we become their marketing advisor is really what ends up happening. We're task oriented. We don't charge retainer based things the way agencies do, but we can operate like an agency, which is a good thing. So
And I remember at your office on Mechanics Alley, you had some samples of some of the consumer goods that you would work on, or some of your consumer good related clients. And if I'm not mistaken, one was guitar strings.
yes. W.L. Gore, based out of Alton, Maryland, manufactures extremely high-end guitar strings. So we did packaging for guitar strings, for cabling and helped do the advertising. They also had other brands, Tenera Fabrics. Wimbledon was always an open event, and they finally put a roof over it. It was a fabric roof that could expand and open. Well, it was this Tenera product. So Smithworks team was hired to help advertise that product to the point where Gore, in some cases, will grow things that product grew in such a way that they actually were able to sell that business to someone else. And so
Thanks
that
to your help.
was, yeah, success for them, not the best success for us in some cases. Sometimes we go along with the product. And then high-end home products, porcelain manufacturers out of the UK.
I was going to say, I
company.
was just about to say some kind of porcelain product from the UK.
Spode was a brand
Yes.
way back when, 1740s, helped mass produce the transfer where that became the blue pattern that so many people know and grew up with. We've had some legacy brands we've been engaged with. The Orfers and Costa Bow Crystal were things that we did. Those were very early on projects that our company engaged with. Lutron Electronics was one of our first customers that we engaged with.
I remember seeing these
Quite some
samples
time
on
ago.
a shelf
Yep.
in your office. That's amazing.
Yep.
And to
Yep.
think that
Fun stuff.
we go back all that time. And I'd like to think I have a small part of contributing to where you are now, because I'm pretty sure you and Denny met at a shooting event
Because of you.
that I brought you to.
Totally.
I'm not going to take credit, but
No,
I'm glad.
you should take credit. I don't think it was just a shooting event. I think we did the shooting event, and then you did an introduction, like a breakfast scenario, and
Perfect.
the three of us got together, and I think that's a Chuck Swope move.
Is to kind
You
of put
are
you to,
very good at connecting people to other people. I think you very quickly get a snapshot of who somebody could best benefit by meeting. And you do a good job of, especially here in Chester County with Westchester as a focus. And we're in an amazing area, region. Love Westchester, huge fans of Westchester Borough. And so, yeah.
and over the years, I want to tie this into commercial real estate a little bit. Over the years, you've been involved with the Westchester Historical Architectural Preservation Awards.
Preservation Awards. Yeah, we helped brand that event when it went from a breakfast event to an evening event. That was was held at the Historical Society, Cultural Center is what they're called now. We also did work for the Historical Society for 15 years. So
You've
we've
got your
been very
fingerprints.
ingrained. Yeah, our fingerprints are everywhere, but the preservation awards, those plaques that are on buildings, a young designer here designed that logo, and then we help manufacture the plaques that you'll see throughout downtown Westchester through the borough. Yeah, we have a affinity for the buildings in this region and care a lot. We're aligned with architects and builders, and
I was just about to mention that many of your clients are in the
Yep.
construction or design aspect of real
Yep.
estate and commercial real estate as well.
Yep, totally.
And you have some notable custom home builders in your
Yeah.
arsenal
Up
there.
and down the landscape designers, Stony Brook Nurseries, who won the Philadelphia Flower Show Best of Show for major exhibitors 8 times and won second place 37 times or something crazy like that. And their designer team on their staff is why they succeed so well. Helping designers sell to designers has become something that we that affinity for, and is something that we naturally do. My wife and I have got and renovated 3 properties in the borough, and so that is also something that we have an infliction or affliction towards, something like that. But and then Westchester suburban areas, and now we're commuting to this area.
So
Recently.
just a little snapshot about Eric Smith. Grew up in Lancaster.
Yep.
And then what happened?
So I grew up in a suburb of a very small town in Lancaster, Mountjoy, and always drew. Had family members who were very good artists. My great grandfather was a farmer but also an artist, and his cousins who were in the fashion industry in Manhattan, and then local cousins who were house painters who drew and painted on the side. So there was always art in my world. My dad was a musician who worked full time as a truck driver. My mother was an interior decorator who worked full time as a bookkeeper, and ended up coming from kind of normal background. And I grew up working on farms, doing tobacco and washing feed trucks, but I was always drawing, and had a great teacher who pushed me to consider going to Kutztown, where I went to college and studied in communications design, and kind of excelled there in that program, and was connected with the idea of what all of that meant. Advertising, I get excited about things. I have a passion about learning new things. So marketing and advertising became a place that was kind of natural for me. And then my wife and I met at one of our workplaces, and Susan was a PR manager in Manhattan, and then became a television producer here in Philadelphia. And she moved here to Philly, take that job. When we met each other further, we started dating, and Susan's now, key factor of our ability to perform what we do for our customers with her storytelling background. So I come from the design side of things, but I like strategy. I'm very, very, home sense, car sense stuff. I love design, product design elements. Who designers are, studying designers, and we're blessed to have a great team of some really great coworkers here at our company who have massive skills. And we're a small company. There's 7 of us right now, usually an intern from Westchester, Kutztown, or something connected to those schools. So that's a long answer.
Before I forget, how can people find you on the web or email or phone number, whatever you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, the web's the easiest place, smithhowelldesign.com. Get you right to our website. It'll give you an insight into who we are and how we work.
Design.com is your website?
smithhowelldesign.com.
Sorry, I missed that part.
Howelldesign.com.
Smith or
Yeah,
Google.
I wish it was. Yeah, Google Smith and Howell.
Smith and Howell Design will get you.
Design. Yep, we'll get you there. But it's
Okay.
smithhowelldesign.com is our web address. And it does give you kind of a clear statement of who we are, but we're in the midst of redoing that as well. But
Why am
that
I not surprised?
becomes a challenge when we have some amazing projects we're in the midst of right now, which is really cool.
What these days? What's keeping you busy and what has you excited?
So staying up to date on technology is going to be one of our greatest, I think, greatest challenges.
Okay.
The AI world continues to adjust and change things. I bump into people weekly and almost daily. They're showing us some sort of input, some sort of strategy, some sort of mock-up that was done in AI. And so us figuring out how to help them take the ideas that they've been able to generate by using AI and help them navigate into taking things to market. Our team is using AI as much as we can internally, not so much for concept stuff, because good ideas, I'm not sure that's where great ideas come from. I think good ideas can come from anywhere, but great ideas, I'm not sure come from that yet. So
AI's, it still looks AI.
Yeah. And we have some customers who are using AI to produce social media pieces, and it frustrates us, but yet we understand why. It's helping them make a leap to do something that they couldn't do easily
Well,
themselves.
my little logo up there in the corner, I'm not ashamed to say that's AI generated. It took me 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. I showed it to our team, and I'm like, that's pretty good. On
Interesting.
average,
It still looks and
Yeah.
feels AI.
Yes.
It lacks authenticity. I would not say it's the highest quality, but does it work? Yes. Is it
Yes.
incredible? No.
Well, I think as the internet did quite some time ago, it took small businesses and helped them kind of make that leap to be more competitive with larger groups. Large groups, their challenge is always to look smaller. They want to seem
Interesting.
agile and light-footed, and that's not an easy thing to do. AI can now help a larger group maybe seem more agile, and it can even help a smaller company be even more dynamic. The big challenge with that is just quality. When you want something of real quality, I still think we're at a point where quality ideas, quality concepts, quality thoughts are quite there. Things that divide and separate. And from a brand standpoint, that's what we're usually trying to do is we're trying to figure out how to present a company that comes from its own unique offering that separates them from the masses and
Kind of like
hopefully from the biggest direct competitors, you know?
kind of like cheap bed sheets. They work, but you can tell they're cheap bed sheets.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know that AI is going to continue to get better and better. It's already doing some things that we see being better. So we're trying hard to be there and be in that world from a coding standpoint. The idea of coding something unique. We have some offerings, some tasks that customers are asking us, intranets that are very broad, big plugins from accounting departments and timekeeping elements that are all internal, and they want to use the AI to produce that. And we are at a point where we have partner programmers to help us build things like that, used to be staff members that are now out on their own. And we start with AI, see where it would take us, but then know we have a platform and have a destination that's a little different than that.
Right. It's maybe a good starting point, but you definitely wouldn't want to rely on it for major
So,
decisions.
so far, there's companies out there who are, there's a shoe manufacturer that was called Allbirds.
Yeah.
They made kind of they sold all that company started in 2015,
I have a
grew
pair. I
to
actually love them.
I do too. Guess what? They no longer produce shoes. They sold all the manufacturing rights and they are now an AI generation company. So they
Interesting.
went from manufacturing shoes and growing this business to whatever it was to now selling off all those assets and storefronts that they owned to just be a dynamic AI programming company. And I don't know how that naturally works for them, but you are seeing more and more of those kinds of things happening. They took all the money and the assets they had in place and just kind of decided to put it all into AI.
So they're kind of
Okay.
doubling down there.
Well, yeah, I was listening to an investor speaking to the idea of how technology changes things and how, the railroad kind of changed things in a big way, like the internet did. And AI is one of these next big leaps. And that the challenges with things like that, there tends to be a tech bubble like there was back when the internet first happened. During the railroad time, there was a bubble that was funded. People threw money at railroad because they thought they just were going to get, make tons of money, and AI is just having tons of money thrown at it. And so in other words, they're saying there's a innate bubble around any new opportunity. AI is going to be amazing. There are great things that are come out of it, but at some point, it's not all going to work. There's going to be some losers and some winners
Winners
there.
and
And
losers.
yeah,
So listen to
so the
this. Speaking of AI, this is going to blow your mind. It blew my mind, at least. I was in the dentist's office the other day, and there's this contraption on the counter. And I said, "What is that?" I said, "Do people listen to music here?" And they said, while they're getting their teeth done, they said, "No, it's actually a microphone." And what it does is it records the conversation that the dentist has with you, telling you, hey, this or that, or, whatever. And the dentist had actually developed some AI program. Now, it was off at the time. They said we have to disclose when we're using this, but it basically records the conversation and it puts it into, medical grade notes, all right. It's just transcribing right from the dentist chair, literally. And, if they're saying, hey, this filling is going to crack in 6 months, kind of a thing, like all that's getting recorded. I don't know if the notes are shared with the patient or not, but it was an AI-backed program that the dentist had personally developed himself, and he's using it right there in the operatory.
I think we're at that point where technology is now at the hands. The idea, you don't need to be a programmer to program something. You need to be smart enough to tell AI how to program, what you want the outcomes to be. And it will, in theory, take you there. And we know others that are out in the forefront doing things that are very similar and it will be very interesting. The next 5 years, it's going to be a dynamic time in history for sure.
I use it for recipes. I'll type into ChatGPT. I have chicken thighs, asparagus, and Parmesan cheese. What could I make for dinner? And it will say, oh, if
Awesome.
you have pasta and cream, you could make, cream of chicken pasta or something, whatever. But it'll spit out
Yep.
ideas that would take me forever to come up on my own.
No, it's right. That's what it's so good at. We've gone into branding exchange with customers, and they'll have their 17 staff members in a room, and inevitably, prior to it, we'll get this 14-page document that somebody had crafted in AI, and the questions that we're going to ask. And the fun part is after we go through the exchange, they realize the difference of putting people in the room and having them communicate it with each other. And
Correct.
point where the idea of crafting and creating generative way to brand that stuff, there's an idea there. There's something that can be built and made, and we know that there are some others working on things like that. But it's still different than you doing it yourself with your
It's
own
different.
team.
I do
Yeah,
I do appreciate kind of the more practical aspects. Like with our sales meetings, we use an AI note taker, which is way
yep,
better than me trying to take notes. So
totally.
staying a little bit on track here, you sort of touched on it. What challenges are you seeing from your perspective?
Well, it's all right now. Our biggest challenge, I think, in general, we have 26 customers. I'm going to be objective about the challenges and speak to those 26 customers are from a huge mix, B2B based things, customer based. Every customer we have is having challenges finding talent, staffing. I think that across the board is interesting to me when technology has created somewhat of a barrier. It's supposed to be an aid, the Indeeds of the world and things of that nature. But I think there's a barrier for those prospective employees to reach out directly to those prospective employers.
Because there's like a wall, if you will, between the two parties.
It's very interesting to the point where it should be easier than it's ever been. You post it here, you get the resumes, you do it, but it's really the unique individuals, the personality types, the psychological side of it that tends to bring even more value, which comes from kind of meeting people face to face and understanding their abilities to navigate those things. So I'm wondering where things will go with that, because that's an observation that we've seen across the board. It's affected us. Like we're trying to bring new staff members on. We end up in some cases finding ourselves, the best connection is through the networks, through the colleges, through the key people to find, high quality, talented and high quality people,
So not
really,
you're
really good
leaning
people.
you're leaning away from technology a little bit on that in that respect.
We are, yes, but I see our customers are trying to automate things, and there's some success with it up to a certain point, and then it flattens out, and it becomes something where you have to go out to find those people. So that's one of our observations, that is still staffing across the board is going to be one of the biggest challenges for us and for every customer we have, is still the challenge of, in a day and age where so much is done on a phone, so much is texted. We talk about that, those individuals being fully equipped to deal with the world when they're knocked off balance. When somebody comes to the door or
When your
makes a
phone
phone
runs,
call,
yeah.
yeah, and you need to proactively make small talk and engage with somebody in a friendly and but still make your point, and also find yourself bonding with your team. How does a team bond when social media for so long has held people at arm's length, but in theory made give you the dopamine as though you were connected to somebody. So I
That's
think
a very
those
interesting perspective and
that's
observation.
a weird take, has nothing to do with design.
It's all
But I
good.
think it's people. It really is. It's same thing's going to happen with the AI side of things. Is you still are going to need the right people to help you navigate through making that. You're going to see articles where it's like, hey, this guy used AI to build software, and now he has a $20 million company, and it's like, and no employees, and it's like, wow, good for him. That isn't what excites me. Yes, I would love to have $20 million. Great idea. But the reality is that isn't what makes me tick day to day. People are what kind of matters to me.
Just sitting down with somebody. I know you're not a coffee drinker, but
No,
that cup of coffee or iced tea or glass of water, or
yeah,
what, just face to
totally.
face. And yeah, I mean, God
Yep, yep,
forbid
yep.
somebody who's so dependent on technology, they forget their phone or it runs out of batteries, or, you're forced to actually have a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody. So what do you see? And this is an awesome conversation. I've told you before, you're one of my favorite human beings, and your perspective
That's
means a
so
lot to
kind.
me.
I
What do you
appreciate
see
that, sir.
happening over the next 12 to 24 months? And part and parcel of that, what are you preparing for?
Well,
It's not intended to put you on the spot. This is just a free
no,
flowing
but
conversation.
I think we spoke to some of this already. I think finding the quality individuals to be engaged with we're happy, very happy to say that work-wise, we have lots of work from very good customers, opportunities coming through every day.
And
When
diverse. You
things
have a
are,
diverse customer
yeah,
base as well.
hugely diverse customer base.
And you see your
Our
customer in general, they're holding up pretty well. I mean, we had, going back to 22 with the interest rates that went up, and we had the tariffs, and then we had the war. It's kind of been like a never ending,
So in our world,
what's the word I'm looking for? Conveyor belt of issues coming at, small businesses.
I think our focus is small business. And we made a decision about that back in the 2009, 10, when the downturn happened. We had some huge corporate customers and they pulled back massively, and our smaller businesses stuck with us. And so we have a lot of family owned customers that we do work for, and that fits us. We've helped grow some to sell themselves off to private equity. That's not always the most fun thing for us. The idea that we help them is, if that's their goal, we can help make that happen. And we've succeeded in doing that. I think the biggest challenge over the next year and a half is navigating the efficiencies of AI, being committed to what's going on in a traditional sense of marketing. All of a sudden, when things are a little more complicated, our marketing strategy is more necessary to most of our customers. When things are a little more challenging, when things are a bit more uneven, when things are way down, when the bottom falls out, we're the first thing that gets cut. We're not the first thing that should be cut, but we are
Right.
the first thing because we're an outside cost.
We
And
want we
then
want more
when
sales, so cut marketing.
it doesn't make any sense, but it
Right.
is the reality that we're an outside cost, and it's like narrow that costing while we're cutting back. And then when things are booming, we had a lot of product-based things that were happening, outdoor experiences, things in during the COVID era where their sales doubled. Things were just booming. And so they peeled back massively on us. So we're at that weird spot right now where this unpredictability makes us really necessary for most of our customers. They need us, unless they're infrastructure based, which we do have some companies like that are providing connectivity and things like that. Well, that's almost a regulated long-term thing. So the next year and a half is not for us, is navigating staffing and being able to produce the quality work that we're proud in efficient manners, using the new technology and making sure we're providing something long-term.
No, that's definitely good feedback. So I want to start to wrap it up here, but not, we're not going to pull the rug out from underneath you. Again, tying this back to commercial real estate, you are a commercial real estate investor. You own commercial
Correct?
property.
Yep.
You help people design commercial spaces. What
Yep.
what would you say, what impact or what relevance does commercial real estate have in kind of your day-to-day business? One of your major clients is an engineering firm who designs commercial properties,
Yep.
commercial site plans and residential subdivisions. What comments or what thoughts can you share about commercial real estate as it relates to your business or from your perspective?
So we are, the trends that happened during COVID, the work from home concept that inevitably affected commercial real estate in a massive way. We are seeing those trends being countered by companies who are now committed to creating environments, again, something similar to, 20 years ago when people created a live work kind of scenario. A trend, the live work thing is still a trend where we're going, but in the commercial side is the idea of small business owners understanding that they need to maybe provide an environment that creates something, a feel, an attitude that supports their brand.
Amenities,
So that,
basically.
yeah, and it's the kinds of things that it's like, hey, we care about these 10 things as a brand. And so the space we want to occupy needs to support all those things. The
One,
workout area, some more flexibility, and dog and health care, child care, all those kinds of things that people are challenged by. And again, some individuals are more apt to totally be okay doing what they do at home by themselves.
but you lose that camaraderie, you lose the culture, you lose the ingenuity, those incidental contacts at the water, the water cooler talk, so to speak. All that gets
when
lost.
when you put a group of people together and have them harmonize a song, it is more than the singular. The
Some
whole of those pieces add up to much more. The sum is
the
exactly.
sum of the parts is greater than the whole.
It is. And I think the workplace is meant to be that. I think, and we know, I look at my 26 customers, they're all navigating in different levels. The prospect of some work from home employees, and some are better at that and more efficient and capable. But the energy that you're around, sometimes it can lift somebody who's didn't know they were struggling or didn't know that they weren't being as productive as they needed to be. And so I think that's in commercial real estate that we see from working with all the businesses that we work with is all of a sudden there's reasons to create environments and energy. And it could be the food trucks coming to the place for the day, or ice cream stuff, whatever the events end up being, but it really needs to fit the brand. And we see people committing more energy to their spaces as others have narrowed. Maybe we have local investment companies like Vanguard's a perfect example where they're narrowing back on some of their space, which would be, I would love to know why that's happening.
Any parting words that you'd like to share? Favorite book? This could be off topic. Something that's misunderstood about your industry, and you want to set the record straight. Favorite restaurant? Little known fact about you?
And that's a lot. All
Well, whatever parting words you want to provide.
I think people. Here's what I'm going to. AI is such a hot topic. I think the concept in this day and age is still find the people who you can trust and work together with those people,
Okay.
with the goal of knowing that AI needs to be involved. So does technology in general. As much as I like to draw, I need to know how to get that on the machine and make it happen and turn it into things. And there's nothing wrong with a drawing being a drawing, but the ability to have that basically talent to craft something, how do you take that and then translate it into something more? And for me, that's what makes me tick. That's kind of the whole, I love taking broken things and fixing them. Love old houses that are, that I can have visions of what they could be.
Taking things
And
apart, putting them back together.
yeah, and trying to refine and make them better. And I think we're at a time and day and time and age where we have access to so much information. Try and figure out how to be that best person, be who you can be the most. Use those talents, use those skills, and it hopefully isn't just about making money. Making money is really important, but what is it that is your trade? What is it that's your skill? What is it the thing that matters most to you? Because in the end, the money's really great. It's really important. It makes things easier. It's amazing. But it isn't what makes you happy.
Don't over rely on AI for your happiness
Yeah.
is what I'm
Be the
hearing.
be the maker, be the doer, be the maker, be the maker. All of us have some making capacity in us. So be that maker, and then be smart enough to plug in with others to figure out what to do with that. And it could be something as simple as just keep making. Be happy making whatever it is you're making at this day and age. And Chuck, you make connections. That's what that you do way more than that. But I think that that's your sweet spot. I
I
think
never
you
thought of it in those terms.
innately
So that's
are very good at that because you've done that for me over and over again.
interesting. Well, as I've told you before, you're one of my favorite human beings. I'm glad that your presence here was delayed and not avoided, but I'm glad it didn't get swept under the rug. Hope to have you on again, and I also hope to be in a position to host you live
Well, I
because
appreciate
there's
that.
nothing
I
like
would
this
look forward to that.
face-to-face interactions. Thank you again for joining us on What's Up, Chuck. Eric Smith, individuals are also welcome to find you on LinkedIn. They want to reach out to you there.
Yep.
Sounds good.